Hi everybody, welcome to Integrated Algebra and Geometry 1. This is going to be our first instructional video, and so a couple things on instructional videos. Make sure that as you are watching the video, you are writing things down in your notes. So you have a notes packet, you have a pencil in your hand, and as I'm talking and writing through the notes, you are also going to be writing through the notes as well. That will give you examples to refer back to, so when you get stuck later, you can go back and look at your notes and see what you wrote down so you have all that in front of you. This video is going to start with Unit 1, and Unit 1 is on segments and solving. And so today we are going to be talking specifically on Lesson 1.1, which covers distributive property, combining like terms, and evaluating. And just remember, as you're watching, remember to be writing things down in your notes. Let's get started. Okay, before we get started in the notes, let me explain the video a little bit. So what you're seeing in the middle here is the place where I would write things down. I personally write things down. On the edges, this is just the application I'm using. It's a smart notebook software, and this is where all the buttons are for me to use. So for instance, right now I'm drawing in red. I can change it to draw in blue. I can change it to be a highlighter. So I can use these tools over here. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is you can ignore those. Don't worry about that. What you need to pay attention to is the part in the middle here. So let's go ahead and turn the page. I'm going to turn my page, your page. What you need to do is get out this piece of paper. So you should have this piece of paper, and you should have picked it up the other day. If you don't have it, then talk to me and we can make sure you get one. And as I go through here, I'm going to be writing things down on the screen. And as I write them down, you are going to be writing them down on your paper. So today, I have to change some tools since I was just messing with those a second ago. Today, we're going to be talking about combining like terms, distributive property, and evaluating. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that combining like terms and distributive property are technically the same thing. You don't really need to worry about that. I can explain it to you if you want to, but to understand they're the same thing and why that's important is when we get to solving equations, sometimes combining like terms comes first, sometimes distributive property comes first, but that's because they're the same thing. Let's jump into some examples. So we're supposed to simplify by combining like terms. I'm going to work through these examples, and then I'm going to go back to this box and I'm going to explain some things, summarizing some things. So I'm going to jump down here to number 1. Combining like terms means you look for the variable that are the same. So n and n, those are the same. That means we can combine them. And 2n plus 3n equals 5n. We just add the numbers. We don't mess with the letters. Okay, number 2, similar deal. We have 5x minus 4x plus 5. The ones that are the same are these x's. The 5 is not the same, so we're not going to mess with that. But the 5x and the 4x, they match up. And it's a minus sign. 5x minus 4x is 1x. And then we have that plus 5 on the end, and we just leave that plus 5 on the end like that. You can write it like that, 1x plus 1x plus 5, or you can also just call it x plus 5. I will take either answer, and because they are so similar, I wouldn't count off for that. But some people prefer to have the 1x, some people don't. I will also say that sometimes different software is kind of testy. And so sometimes if you put a 1x in, it might not like it, and it wants you to have an x. I just am not sure. It just depends on the software. Okay, the next one, let's take a look. We're looking at our variables, x, y, x. So we want to put the x's together, but the y has to stay separate. So 15x plus 2x is 17x. Another thing I should say is that minus sign, it goes with the 8. It does not go with the 15. It goes with the 8. So we have 17x here. We're to subtract 8y. So that's our final answer. Another thing is when we write these answers, we should have them in standard form, and standard form means alphabetical order. Let's go to the next line. Number 4, we have a y and a y, and then we have an x, and then we have a number. Well, the y and the y can combine together to make a 19y. The minus 3x, again, that minus stays with the 3, and the plus 4, those cannot be added together because they're not like terms. They don't have a y, so we can't put them with it. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 does have some decimals in it. I would really recommend using a calculator. I actually tried this without a calculator and I got it wrong because I was not using my calculator. So get a calculator. You can use a calculator on your phone, calculator on your computer. Whatever calculator you have handy is fine for this one. 6.4z, that has a z in it. Negative 2.7 also has a z. We want to keep those together. The w's, we want those to go together also, but separate from the z's. So 6.4 minus 2.7 on your calculator. When you do that, what do you get? You should get 3.7z. Let me also mention my z's. That one was kind of ugly. I think I'm actually going to undo that z for a second. When I do a z, I like to put a little line through it. And the reason I do that is because otherwise sometimes my z's look like 2's. And so if I put a line through it, that means it's a z and not a 2. Okay, back to our problem. We have a w's, negative 3.2 plus 0.9. I'm going to put that into my calculator. And what do you get from your calculator? You should get a negative 2.3 w. And then you're technically done with the problem. I say technically because we'll be doing some homework on computer software, right? And some computer software might make you put it into standard form. That means alphabetical order. So I can rearrange this if I need to into alphabetical order. So that's a negative 2.3w plus 3.7z. Definitely my computer would take that. Okay, that would definitely be standard form. If this was like a paper test I was grading, I probably would not count off for that unless I asked for standard form. If I say standard form, it has to be in alphabetical order. Okay, let's take a look at number 6. As I look at number 6, I have an x, I have a y, I have a z, and I have a number. Those are all different. None of them are the same. I cannot combine anything. However, we do want it to be in standard form. And to be in standard form, that again means alphabetical order, and it means the number is at the end. And so if we rewrite this, this is going to be 14x minus 3y plus z. That part's not different. I'm going to take that 7, and it's a negative 7 or a minus 7, and I'm going to put it on the end. Okay, that's the end of the section on combining like terms. I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top here, and I'm going to do some summary with you. Okay, here are some of the main things that we learned. First of all, keep like terms together. That's like number 1. N and N, they go together, they make a 5N. But you have to keep different terms separate. So that would be like number 4. Okay, we put our Y's together, but the X and the number have to be separated. So that's how keeping different terms separate. And finally, we didn't talk about, not finally, we have 2 more actually. Subtracting means adding the negative. I didn't talk about that too much, but a little bit. Like this no, that doesn't count. Let's go back to number 5. I could write number 5 as 5x minus 4x, or up here in green, I could say 5x plus negative 4x. So if that helps you change your subtractions into plus the negative, you can do that if you want to. That helps some people. And last thing, we did talk about standard form. That means alphabetical order with the number at the end. Now, if you need to pause the video and write this stuff down, that's fine. Do that. Pause it so you can get everything down you want to get written down. Okay, this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to end this video here, and the next video is going to pick up with distributive property.